Good morning. Good morning. Welcome back to Expat Insights. I'm your host, Raju Mandhyan. Here at Expat Insights, we take external views of internal successes by foreigners, expats, and immigrants who have made Philippines their home. And sometimes we also look at people who are doing something really special for this country, the Philippines. And for this afternoon, for this morning, I have a very special guest, a mentor and a friend of mine, Sir Gerry Plana, who is the former president of Personal Management Association of the Philippines, PMAP, and he was formerly from Unilab. Currently, he is the country manager for Investors and People. It's a global organization, and I really don't want to tell you about IIP before Sir Gerry Plana starts talking about it. So, Sir Gerry Plana, welcome to Expat Insights.
My pleasure, Raju, to be here.
So, Gerry Plana, first tell us a bit about your life. You have been for so many years working in development of people, either in industry or outside of industry, you know. So tell us a bit about why and how you've been so active in this.
Okay. I started my career, Raju, in 1978. I've always been HR since then. I started as a trainer, moved into more general HR responsibilities, joined several organizations. One of them was United Laboratories as HR head, moved into the sugar industry, then eventually joined PMAP, the People Management Association of the Philippines, as its executive director for 11 years. And now I find myself as head of the Investors in People Philippines.
Right. The value behind all the departments or all the elements of a big enterprise or a large enterprise, what is the value behind the human resource, the human capital in an organization? Which one? Why do you see it to be the more powerful one, if you see it to be more powerful?
It is getting to be more powerful in these days. I think the value of people these days has become top on the agenda of many CEOs because of a lot of factors, really. I think more and more as we get deep into this knowledge era, people become, we rely on a lot of people's intelligence and knowledge to be able to do productive work these days. So given that, the value of the human capital becomes very critical, and there's not much good human capital to work on with in the first place, to tap. That's why there's a lot of talent shortage and things like that. So all this compounds it makes more complex the area of human resource management these days. That's why it's so important.
Many years ago, not maybe 70s or 80s, we were talking about capital growth. We were talking about reducing the number of workforce and making it all automated, no? That trend, I don't know if it still exists. Technological growth has really impacted the world. But how do you compare today's scenario, work-life scenario, to the time that people wanted to automate everything?
I think when we started the automation era, there was a lot of false expectations about what automation can really do in terms of really replacing the human element of business. But I think more and more we're beginning to realize that this is just really a tool for humans rather than a replacement for humans. And so that shift of perspective is what we're grappling with these days. That's why as a tool, it helps humans think better, or do their jobs better, more creative, more innovative. A lot of the non-creative parts of what we did before as humans are now being done by these machines, and leaving creativity, innovation for people. That's why innovation and creativity these days is such high premium for organizations to succeed in business.
And how has PMAP changed or adapted over the last couple of decades? And it used to be called personal management. We don't even call it personal management
anymore.
No?
Not anymore.
So how has it evolved? How has the organization itself evolved over the years?
I think during my watch, the human resource function, first of all, we changed the name. There's a big change. That's why we call ourselves now people management.
We don't call ourselves
not HR, not even people management, especially. So there's a lot of change. The changing of the name required a lot of changing of perspectives. So I guess what has happened to HR in the last several years is it's become more like a business partner. So it really moved up the ladder and really contributed much to organizational productivity in such a way that we became business partners. So we're now the right hand, a lot of HRs are right-hand men of CEOs as they try to transform organizations, because more and more now transformation is the name of the game, you know, and radical change to be able to adapt to changing environments is the name of the game to survive and succeed. And HR, you know, being the people and organizational custodian, is the right partner for that.
I remember when I first started off working in 1980, and the only thing I used to go to HR for was about my salary, about any entertainment coming up, or my vouchers, or my social benefits, or stuff like that. And that was it. HR, go look at your pay slip, talk to HR. So it's moved on from just accounting for work done and work paid for. It's moved on to something more. No?
That was the transactional HR, as we call it now.
Way back in the day.
Way back.
Go to HR. They'll create they'll have a party for you.
That's right.
So, sir, now I'd actually like to explore a bit on what PMAP does. But your choice. Do you want to tell us about IIP first, or do you want to tell us about PMAP first? Because PMAP is the kind of mother organization that supports it. So what would you want to start with?
I can start with both. IIP started as a program with PMAP. Okay.
With PMAP?
With PMAP, It started as a program. I was executive director then. We constantly were looking for new ideas to work on. I stumbled upon Investors in People. It's an international quality standard for people management. We pursued that. That became a project until a year and a half ago. This was spun off as a separate organization. And that's why we have now IIP Philippines. So that's a little bit of a history. And I decided to head this, and this has international connections. What is fascinating about this is the benefit of using Investors in People standard, because it provides consistency in managing people, no? Can you imagine, it's very hard to imagine managing something without a standard. And I think that was what has happened to us in the human resource field, no? Unlike other functions, they have quite a number of standards.
That's why marketing and production.
Precisely, production especially, finance even. That's why we have not been very consistent in the way we have been progressing in the field. You know, we didn't have too much standards to rely on, and this is precisely a standard.
I remember attending the first ever meeting of IIP when they came to Tower Club, and a lady called Janet.
That's right.
Was part of it, and the questioning. It's not. They don't have any specific measures. Am I right?
Well, yes. Right? Well, there's a standard. There's a people standard. That is benchmarked on versus practices.
So where and how did IIP come about? Did it before coming to the Philippines? It originated in England?
UK. In the United Kingdom. Okay, the history is in the United Kingdom during the late 80s. When they were faced with tough competition from different countries, they wanted to be more competitive as a country. One of the things, one of the initiatives they did was a search for what excellent organizations did. So this was both a public and a private, initiative in that country. And one of that result was this standard. These are the things that excellent organizations did in managing people. So that was the beginning, and they launched that in 1991.
So what, I'm curious, what were the things that excellent organizations did?
Okay, a few things they found out. A few things they found out. One of the standard is telling us is if you want to have sustainable change in the area of people management, you have to do several things in tandem, integration.
Like for example?
Like for example, if you're not familiar with other things, you know, you go into an organization and you want to develop the organization, a lot of people say, let's do all the training programs. But training and development is only one facet of sustainable, of making real change sustainable. Because under the standard, there are 5 things that needs to be together
to be attended to.
For change to be sustainable. One of them is alignment. There's a lot of clusters for practices that make sure that the organization is moving in the same direction. Okay?
I'm getting fuzzy because I'm not a totally people person.
Okay.
No? So,
when you say alignment, we talk of things. Are people, do they have a shared vision? Do they have a shared value? Are their goals clear? Are their goals supporting each other, reinforcing each other?
Do they understand? Do the people working for the corporation understand what the corporation wishes to accomplish?
Precisely.
So do they have clarity on that?
Clarity, yes.
And
do you buy into that?
And whatever the corporation wishes to accomplish, do the people, individuals, want to accomplish similar or same thing.
Right. Are they onboarded properly?
Oh.
That's an alignment team, no?
That's alignment.
That's alignment. What you do in alignment is not developing work.
Right.
You're not capacitating them.
Right.
You're aligning them. So there's a lot of big clusters of sound practices in people management along the alignment process. Now, we're all familiar with the development process because we have been doing a lot of training since then.
Customer service.
Customer service, or
Cutting tools.
Leadership skills. That's development too. But that's only part of the piece, no? The other big chunk that we've been missing on is empowerment.
So the first one is alignment. The second is empowerment.
Development.
Okay.
And then empowerment is about decision making. Can people make decisions in the areas of their responsibilities? Because you can align, you can develop, but if you do not empower, you have frustrated employees.
So in the olden days when assembly line production, assembly line work, they just had limited responsibilities, limited power. So now you're saying that the third stage of people development or IIP is empowerment.
Yeah, freedom to act.
Freedom to
act.
Freedom to act,
That's
freedom
right.
to make a choice. That's play part owner. Be like the owner, like be an owner kind of a person.
That's right,
Owner mentality.
Owner mentality, yes, that's part of it. Especially if it's very hard to have freedom of action if you don't have that kind of mentality. And you cannot have that kind of mentality if you're not aligned.
Right.
So it all fits together, and these are the first three.
And the other two then?
The other two, the fourth one, which is very critical, is the leadership behavior, the role models. Are the leaders role modeling the right behaviors? Are they giving the right messages to their behaviors? Do they have, we have a term called, do they have a leadership brand? Do they have a consensus on how they should lead in this particular organization? Because if there's no consensus, each one is to its own as far as leadership is concerned. So that must be a little bit of, there must be a coherent, solid leadership strategy.
Can you substantiate and cite a case from Philippines if there's any Filipino organization, any one of them that has been certified by IIT is doing that?
Yes.
Is there an example? Is there a benchmark?
Yeah. We have had about 2 dozen now of organizations that are
certified with IIT.
Certified, and one of those, the leadership brand is part of that standard.
Can you mention?
Like Moresco One is an electric cooperative in Misamis Oriental.
Right.
They are certified. They have this in place. SIPSI is a port operations in Cotabato. Is also another one. Of course here the British Council, St. Luke's Medical Hospital, RCM Manufacturing. These are some of the few. Now let me talk a little bit more about leadership brand, because this is
I
important.
need to understand that.
A lot of organizations are doing leadership development, but are they developing a brand? Because that's different if you're just developing individual leaders versus you're developing a brand. Brand is more an organizational capability. Because regardless of the personalities, the brand stays. Okay, rather than you train an individual leader.
So Johnson & Johnson, for example, is a very capable company of having a leadership brand, because people coming out from Johnson or Citibank or from even SGB.
That's right.
Even SGB.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
And usually the leadership brand is attached to the organizational brand. Like if you have an Apple Inc. Who is known for innovation, then their leaders must be
an Apple executive.
Of course, an Apple executive should exhibiting innovation in their very behaviors. Now, the reason why leadership brand is important, Raju, is because if you don't have a brand in an organization, each one is left to his own, and he feels that's the right way to lead. And you cannot argue against that. Even if somebody is really mistreating people and saying, no, that's my leadership style.
Their handbook is the same.
Of course.
The handbook they carry around is almost the same.
Consistency becomes possible. There's a benchmark. You can benchmark more systematically. You can include this even in the performance appraisal systems, how they get evaluated as leaders. So brand is very important.
And it can be measured.
It can be measured. It can be measured. Leadership is so important in organizations. Probably 70 to 80% of it, is responsible for, setting the tone. And I'm not just talking about the top leaders. I'm talking about leaders at every level. At all levels of the organization. Oh, yes. More so in the front line. The fifth one.
Yes, sir.
If I may just complete the 5.
Yes, sir.
Is dynamism, continuous improvement. Our organizations learning from experience.
Right.
So these 5 clusters make for the sound practices that are institutionalized by the Investors in People standard in organizations.
I'm really interested to, I don't know, visualize and understand how do you measure each one of them. Alignment, okay, you have engagement assessments.
Yes.
And then leadership development, okay, maybe you can work them up the pipeline.
That's right.
And then the third one was decision-making, empowerment.
Yeah,
So how do you measure the last three? What are the measures for that? How do you go? How does IIP do it?
Okay, let me give you a very simple example. The focus of an IIP.
Shall we take St. Luke's as an example because it's right here?
St. Luke's, they all adhere to the same standard. Like for instance, one standard. Like for instance, there's a difference between a process standard and an outcome standard.
Okay.
IIP focuses on outcome standard, people outcome standard. Like for instance, I'll give you an example. We're very familiar with HR programs and systems. Like the performance management system is a process, it's a program.
Yes, sir.
So if you get into an organization, if you want to audit the organization, you can audit it in two ways. One, do you have a performance management system? And you show a paper and say, yes, we do.
Yes, sir.
But that's not the way IIP audits. IIP audits the outcomes of those programs.
Right.
Like for instance, what is one important outcome of why we have a performance management system? It's what do you think? What do you think is an important, why do we do it? Why do we set up performance management system?
Well, eventually, of course, you'll connect it to the bottom line.
Yes, definitely. So improve performance.
Yeah.
We want to improve performance.
Right.
So one of the outcomes that is audited in the standard is, do you have a conversation that improves performance?
Okay.
But that's seldom. But that's seldom audited.
Right.
That's seldom monitored. So what we monitor is, do you have the system? Having the system does not necessarily generate that kind of quality conversation.
So do you shepherd, do you guide, do you coach people towards that success?
So when we say IIP standard, it's all these outcomes, and the first 39 outcomes is what makes for a certification. You get warranted to merit a certification. 39 of those outcomes.
So the fifth one, Sir Gerry, was one more
continuous
time.
improvement.
Continuous improvement, no?
That's
so
right.
you were telling me about that before I interfered.
Yes.
So
It's learning from experience.
How does that get measured?
Okay. Are people learning from experience? Like for instance, you ask a very simple question, like, do you have improvement ideas? Where does the improvement idea come from? What lessons from experience is it coming?
Right. So you go tap and do the inquiry.
That's right.
On where the source of that improvement, that learning came from, and then tap and maybe multiply it.
Now, the best practice there, the practices that organizations do is they have post-mortem practices. They have post-mortem practices.
It's not a nice term.
Oh, well, it's not nice term, but that's the technical
term.
Or review. They have this practice of review, reviewing experience, so that when they move forward for future planning, they can improve it.
Let's call it reflective.
Reflection,
recollection, they call it in LaSalle. Recollection.
Or retreat.
Retreat. So now, Sir Gerry, so I'm a company. I'm not St. Luke's. I'm not the Misamis power company.
Misamis Oriental.
I am Kanga Dental. I'm a small firm. I have 20 people employed in Australia, 20 in the Philippines, and I'm running a tourism package. How do I go about getting an IIP certification? It's a certification,
That's right. That's one.
And there are no specifics on what I must do. The measures are only the outcomes. So what do I do? Again, the question, the owner of a company says, where do I go?
Very basic. One of the first things that needs to be answered by the organization is, how do I fare versus an international standard on people management practices?
Right. So I take the best model, for example, a few from UK or maybe Johnson and
You have to benchmark. So there's a baselining. Okay, how am I, let's say, in the Investors in People standard? So that I'll know exactly what I need to do to fix it. So if we benchmark, let's say, if there's 39 things that need to be in place and you're only doing 20, you have to work on the 19. Now, why is this good even for small business? Because
it's almost like ISO and TUV standards. It's ISO for people.
But it's not just certification. IIP is not just certification. It's really a business improvement tool. Because
because you're cleansing up.
Yeah, you're cleansing up. You're putting the right practices to hit your targets.
You're greasing the joints. You're cleansing up.
This is particularly important for small businesses because usually a lot of businesses grow when they grow and they don't have solid foundation on the people side. This is what causes collapse in the business.
Or the culture becomes
precisely
so cancer-driven.
The people issue becomes a real great issue.
That's why
you're growing.
Strikes and strikes.
That's right. Because if you adhere to the standard, you will minimize your people issues.
Great. So, Sir Gerry, how much time does it take up for a company called Kanga Dental with 100 employees? Now it's grown. It also
to get certified.
Yeah. How much time does it take up? Where do they go? How much time does it take up?
Few months.
Few months. Or longer.
You need to have a baseline so that you know where you are.
Yeah.
So that you know what you need to fix. Okay. It's pretty much like dental. You need to have a diagnostic.
Do an X-ray.
Do an X-ray. And then you know what to fix. And then given the size of 20, 30 people, you just need 2 to 3 months to fix that, and then you get assessed, and then everything's in place.
Cost?
Well, the cost is dependent on the size of the organization, really. But it's similar to an ISO.
So IIP Philippines acts as consultants, or you just act as auditors? Your IIP Philippines?
We have also a group of consultants who want help for organizations who want help in achieving the standard.
So I can become an IIP consultant, while IIP does the auditing for the certification.
Definitely.
No? What is the certificate? What is the consulting accreditation process?
The consulting accreditation process is getting to know the standards and getting to know the interventions to achieve the standard.
And how long would that take?
Well, depends on what level. Level 1, just a few months of training. There's a classroom.
It's like black belt.
Yeah, like green belt, black belt, or whatever. It has its equivalent.
You, sir, what level have you hit already?
Well, I'm already at the higher level now. Yes, but I started this in 2003. So when we started this,
so you were the pioneers already.
Yes, we pioneered.
We saw the wisdom in the thing right away.
That's right. We got the full license in 2007, but we started working on it 2003, as early as 2003.
And costs for the consultant and for the certification by the organization to each.
Yes,
to get myself certified as a consultant of IIP.
Yes.
The cost there, and cost for Kanga Dental to get the IIP clearance or the IIP seal of good work.
Stamp, yeah. It's similar, like it's usually less than 100,000 you can really get.
Oh, really? It's not too
pricey. For a small organization, it's not really too pricey, because there can be an online survey method if you don't want the live survey thing. I mean, there's so many options really to be able to get into the standard. We're making that available right now.
Now, once this is a question because I just came from an OD conference. No? So, Kanga Dental does that. Kanga Dental, a hypothetical company, does that. They get that IIP certification, seal of good people management company. They get that seal. How do they post that certified? How long is the certification valid, or do they have to go back again and review it and do another dental checkup?
That's right.
Good. I like the metaphor of dentistry.
Yeah. Since we were talking about it, the full review is 3 years, but 18 months there's a quick review.
Right.
To make sure that the standard is still in place.
So it's like going for a checkup again. So if you can do it annually, or you can do it every 18 months.
That's right. The 18 months is quick review, but the 3 years is a full review.
So in those 18 months or in those 3 years, they have to sustain their process.
Yes.
People
so that they can keep the...
Because they've already created the internal benchmarks, they have to sustain that.
But the organization would also like that, because they really want feedback. It's a maintenance thing. You maintain
staying healthy.
Staying healthy.
Fantastic. Amazing.
Okay.
So amazing. Thank you very much for sharing this with us. Now, do you want to tell me what's happening in the horizon, like any big event coming up for IIP or PMAP? This is your moment to also plug in PMAP, no?
That's right.
So do you want to tell us what's happening with IIP and PMAP together?
Yeah. Well, PMAP right now is in a turnover of officers. We're going to have elections in November 28th, so we'll have a new set for next year. So the plans will have to wait until this new set of officers are in place and plan for the future. Of course, we have this annual event every year that's well attended by all HR. And
when is that happening?
That usually happens October of every year.
So tapos na?
Tapos na. So we're going forward for next year. In the IIP front, we're having very big activities in the government sector now. We're very much involved in the Civil Service Commission.
It's a very nice thing. It's a nice thing.
Right now, we're very much involved in the Civil Service Commission. They have adopted the investors in people as part of their criteria for giving awards in the government sector as well.
How big a team do you have working for you?
About we're just a small 10 people, overall.
So totally consulting.
Yeah, that's right. It's a small group, ever since we got out of PMAP as an independent organization a year and a half ago.
So Gerry, I am done learning about IIP. And of course I would have had more questions, but I don't. And I so wish that people watching this show had the opportunity to call you, but we don't have that opportunity to call you. So is there something you want to tell us about, something I might have not asked you, or something you want to still tell me about IIP?
I just wanted to say that ever since I got introduced to this concept, I saw the value and what this can do to the HR profession especially. I think there's a lot of quantification that can come out of this, measurements, people's scorecards as a result of these standards. And I think that is one area where we need to really strengthen ourselves
nationally.
Naturally. So I think that is the promise that this standard brings now. And I think we will be able to accelerate the way we deliver our profession and help organizations really improve tremendously.
So the value that you see in the profession of human capital development now has a template and a framework, and which will be effective nationally.
Yes,
and so there'll be a uniformity in how we develop our people.
And that's what we're doing. That's why we're going to the government. We're advocating in the private sector so that nationally we become, a good country with good practices in people management.
Amen to that. Amen to that. And I think we are.
Yes.
Currently, I really appreciate how the country is moving forward.
Precisely.
Don't you?
Yeah, definitely.
I'm really happy.
So we need to further build on that.
Yeah, we need to multiply on that.
Multiply
really exponentially multiply on that. So, Gerry, I am through with that. So now tell me two more things. One thing on my mind is, do you want to announce IIP to my audience? That's one. The second one is, you, sir, what's the future for you? What's the horizon for you? What do you want to do?
Yeah. Okay, yeah. I just want to say to your televiewers that this is a great challenge for organizations to benchmark with an international standard, the Investors in People standard.
Yeah.
I think every organization should be able to have a roadmap for continuing excellence in people management.
Right.
People is so critical in doing business today. I think we need to have a framework, we need to have a standard to be able to manage this part of the business. And I'm just passionate about this. That's why I see myself doing this for a longer period of time.
Yeah, a holistic measurement.
No? That's right.
And your future, you said you have a family and you're just doing IIP, so tell us
Oh, yes.
Besides,
that's right. One of the things
5 years from now, what's Sir Gerry doing?
One of the things that I enjoy now is I own my time pretty much, with this IIP, I'm able to, I do gardening with my wife on weekends. We have a garden in near Tagaytay, Mendez area. It's a cool place. I have durian trees. I have rambutan, all kinds of fruit trees. That's where I spend most of the time with my wife, I'm spending more time now with the family, The balance is more perfect now.
Good therapy, peaceful.
Good for me for my thinking, because I do a lot of thinking.
While digging, me too.
Thinking.
I put in seeds and I water.
While I'm thinking, I'm eating durian, what a perfect combination.
Sir Gerry, salamat so much for
my
being
pleasure,
on Expat
Raju.
Insights, and it's been an honor. It's a great thing that you're doing. It's a great thing that IIP is, the template that IIP provides, and whatever's happening in the country, may it continue, may it flourish. No? So mabuhay po. Thank you
very
so
much.
Salamat. So that was Sir Gerry Plana, former president of PMAP, and he is now the country manager for IIP. I'm your host, Raju Mandhyan. Thank you for watching. I hope this was a good learning event for you. Next week on Expat Insights, we have two guests. One is a lady, a Filipina, Judith Santos, who has made Philippines at home again, come back from the U.S., and a Brazilian, German, American person who is coming up, who's the regional head of an institution called Up with People, which is quite similar. They help children. Up with People. So wait for it, Sir Gerry, next week. So good night and mabuhay, and thank you for watching Expat Insights. I'm your host, Raju Mandhyan. Oh, by the way, the reason I say good night, it means that the day is ending for me and you, and I won't see you anymore until night. So good night and mabuhay.